Hello friends, I Devan Prajapati from Upanishad Science Academy, Limkeda, Standard 12, English Medium, Chapter number 2, Solution. This would be the video number 3, in which we are going to study about the topics, that is solubility of solid and gas in liquid, as well as the Henry's law and the sums of it. So let's start the today's journey. Before starting the video, in the last session, what we have done it will describe in short. There are few topics which we have covered in the last session, that is expressing the concentration of the solution in parts per million, molality, mole fraction, molarity, as well as the sums regarding that, which we have done it. Now in today's session, what we are going to do it, let's brief it. First, the solubility, then the solubility of solid in liquid, then solubility of gas in liquid, and then at the last Henry's law, as well as the sum regarding that. Okay, so let's start the journey of today. First, what does it mean by the solubility? So the solubility of a substance is the maximum amount that can be dissolved in a specified amount of solvent. Maximum amount that can be dissolved in a specified amount of solvent is known as the solubility. Depends upon the three criteria. One, that is, I can say that solubility depends upon three criteria. One is nature, of solute and solvent. Then the second is temperature and pressure. Okay, now let us consider the effect of these factors in the solution of solid or the gas in liquid, for solid as well as the gas in case of the liquid. So the first one, that is the solubility of solid in liquid. In case of the solid in liquid, every solid does not dissolve in a given liquid. Now I'll give you the few examples. NaCl, that is sodium chloride, and sugar will dissolve in water, whereas naphthalene, and anthracene both these compound they are dissolved in benzene. Now you can say that NaCl will not able to dissolve in NaCl and sugar both will not able to dissolve in benzene, whereas in the case of naphthalene and anthracene both these will not able to dissolve in water, means cross multiplication over here is not possible. Okay, whereas so this is what there are few solid which can dissolve in particular liquid, there are few solid which cannot be dissolved in a particular liquid. Okay, so in short you can say it over here. It is observed that the polar solutes is dissolved in polar solvent and non-polar solute will be dissolved in non-polar solvent. Okay, so in general you can say that the polar solute can be dissolved in polar solvent and non-polar solute can be dissolved in non-polar solvent. Now on which criteria this thing has been decided, that suppose the intermolecular interaction between solute and solvent if it is like, then they are going to dissolve it. Okay, so in short you can remember this. Okay, so this is what the solubility of a solid in liquid. Now there are few definitions one by one which we are going to cover. The first one, that is dissolution. So when a solid solute is added to the solvent, some solute dissolves and its concentration increases in the solution, which process is known as a dissolution. The second one, that is crystallization. Some solute particles in solution collide with the solid solute particles and get separated out, and they are going to form the crystals, and this process is known as crystallization. Now there is a dynamic equilibrium which has been produced between, I can say that I am writing over here the formula, that solute plus solvent is going to give solution. In the same manner, the solution is going to give the solvent as well as the solute. The rate of conversion of solute and solvent into solution, as well as the rate of solution to convert into the solvent and solute, will remain same, and this is known as a dynamic equilibrium. Again, the conversion of solute and solvent to solution, the number of that particles is same like the conversion of solution into the solvent and solute. Okay, so both these processes, they occur at the same rate. Okay, the forward direction as well as the reverse direction. Both is taking place at the same rate, and this is known as a dynamic equilibrium. Okay. Then at this stage, the concentration of solute in a solution will remain constant under the given condition, that is temperature and the pressure. Similar process followed when the gases are dissolved in the liquid solvent. Now there are two definitions, might be you are aware. One is saturated solution and second is called as an unsaturated solution. So what is the meaning of it? Such a solution in which no more solute can be dissolved. At the same temperature and pressure is known as saturated solution. And in case of unsaturated solution, an unsaturated solution is one which more solute can be dissolved. At same temperature and pressure is known as unsaturated solution. The solution which is a dynamic equilibrium with the undissolved solute is saturated solution and contains the maximum amount of the solute which dissolved in a given amount of the solvent. Thus the concentration of solute in such a solution is its solubility. Now you can say that the solubility of solution is depend on three factors. At the starting also we have discussed, that is nature of substance in case of solute as well as the solvent, then the temperature and the pressure. So the solubility of a solution is dependent on these three criteria. Okay. Now the next one, that is the effect of temperature. In the case of solubility of solid in a liquid, the solubility of solid in a liquid is significantly affected by temperature. Dynamic equilibrium must follow the Le Chatelier's principle according to the formula. Which one? The formula is solute plus solvent is converted into the solution. Okay. Now here the effect of temperature, I can say that in general in a nearly saturated solution, during the dissolution process, if it is endothermic, remember it, if it is endothermic, what does it mean? That delta H solubility will be greater than 0. Okay, and the solubility should increase with the rise in temperature. If you increase the temperature, then the solubility is also increasing. Okay, now the opposite of this, suppose the reaction is exothermic. In this case, the delta H solubility is less than 0, and in this case, if you increase the temperature, then the solubility will decrease. Okay, and these trends are also observed experimentally. So this is what the effect of, not the pressure, effect of temperature. Okay, now the effect of pressure. Now pressure does not have the significant effect on the solubility of the solids in the case of in liquids. Why? Because in case of solid, if you see, they are very tightly packed with each other and which are incompressible. Okay, whereas in case of liquids, they are incompressible and practically remain unaffected by changes in pressure. So I can say that in case of solid, they are unaffected. But if we are talking about the liquid and gas, these both are affected by pressure. Specifically, if we are talking about the gas, then the solubility will increase if you increase the temperature, pressure. Pressure, if you are going to increase, then the solubility is also increasing, specifically for gases. Now the next one, that is the solubility of gas in liquid. We'll take one example, that the oxygen dissolves only a small extent in water. But this much amount of O2 is going to help to aquatic life. Okay, whereas HCl, that is hydrogen chloride gas, is highly dissolved in water. Okay, is highly dissolved in water. Now solubility of gases in liquid is greatly affected by the pressure, just now we have talked about, and the temperature. The solubility of gas increase with the increase in the pressure. For a solution of gases in a solvent, consider a system diagram A. Here you can see that the solution is filled. The lower part of is solution. Okay, and the upper part of is gaseous system. And the pressure and temperature is P and T. Okay, assume this system to be in a state of dynamic equilibrium. That is, under this condition, the rate of gaseous particle entering and leaving the solution phase is the same. Now increase the pressure over the solution by compressing the gas to the smaller volume. Means here increase the weight, so you can see that the weight they have increased, so automatically the pressure will going to be rise and the solubility will also get it rise. Okay, this will increase the number of gaseous particles per unit volume over the solution, and also the rate at which the gaseous particles are striking the surface of solution to enter it. The solubility of the gas will increase until the new equilibrium is reached, resulting an increase in the pressure of a gas above the solution, and thus its solubility is increases. Now the next one, that is very much important, and it is the Henry's law. Henry was the first to give a quantitative relationship between the pressure and the solubility of gas in solvent, which is known as the Henry's law. The law states that at a constant temperature, the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the pressure of the gas. Dalton, contemporary, means independently Dalton has also performed, and he has given the same thing, that is the solubility of a gas in liquid solution is a function of the partial pressure of the gas. The partial pressure of gas in vapor phase is proportional to the mole fraction of the gas. Now let's give the P proportional to the X. P, remove the proportionality constant, keep Henry's constant, that is Kh into X. Here if you will see, the P is partial pressure, X is considered to be the mole fraction, and Kh is the Henry's constant. Now in case of Henry's law, according to the graph, I am drawing the graph over here, you can see that the graph is the partial pressure versus the mole fraction, and they are moving linearly in straight line. So according to the graph, you can say that the partial pressure and the mole fraction, they both are dependent on each other. Different gases have different Kh values and at the same temperature. This suggests that the Kh is the function of the nature of gas. Now here you can see that there are different gases they have given at the temperature, their Henry's constant they have given, means you can see that according to this table, this suggests that Kh is a function of the nature of the gas. Okay. Now it is obvious from the equation that the higher the value of Kh at the given pressure, the lower is the solubility of the gas in a liquid. It can be seen from the Kh values for both for nitrogen as well as for oxygen increase with the increase in temperature, indicating that the solubility of gas increased with the decrease of temperature. It is due to this reason that the aquatic species are more comfortable in cold water rather than in the warm water. Now there are few notable biological phenomena or the applications of Henry's laws. One by one we'll see it. The first one, to increase the solubility of CO2 in cold drinks. And soda water. The bottle is sealed under the high pressure with CO2. And the second one is the scuba divers. Must cope up with the high concentrations of dissolved gases while breathing in air at high pressure underwater. They have to cope up with this. So increased pressure increase the solubility of the atmospheric gases in blood. Means pressure is increased. This will increase the blood pressure in the body of blood. Okay. When the divers come towards the surface, the pressure gradually decreases. These release the dissolved gases and leads to the formation of bubbles of nitrogen. Okay. In the blood. This blocks the capillaries and create the medical condition which is known as bands. Okay, which are very painful and dangerous condition for their life. To avoid bands as well as the toxic effect, the solution is what? From the band, high concentration of nitrogen in the blood. The tanks used for the scuba divers are filled with the air dilute with the helium. (11.7%). Then 56.2% of nitrogen and 32.1% of oxygen. Okay, so they use these bottles, they used to carry along with them, so this is going to help. Then the third one, at high altitudes, the partial pressure of the oxygen is less than that of the ground level. This leads to the low concentration of oxygen in the blood and the tissue of the people living at the high altitude, specifically for climbers. Low blood oxygen causes climbers to become weak and unable to think. Clearly. symptoms of the condition which is known as an anoxia. Okay. Then the next one, there is the effect of temperature for gas when the gases are dissolved in water. Solubility of the gas in liquid decreases with the rise in temperature when the dissolved. The gaseous molecules are present in the liquid phase, and the process of dissolution can be considered similar to the condensation, and heat is evolved in this process. Exothermic. We have learnt in the last section that dissolution process involves the dynamic equilibrium and thus must follow the Le Chatelier principle. As dissolution, if it is exothermic process, then the solubility should decrease with the increase in the temperature. Okay. Now there is a question. We'll solve it here. The question is, if N2 gas is bubbled through the water at 293 Kelvin, how many millimoles of N2 gas would dissolve in 1 liter of water? Assume that N2 exerts a partial pressure of 0.987 bar. Given the Henry's law constant for the N2 at 293 Kelvin is 76.48 kilobar. So first convert this kilobar into the bar, that is 76480 bar. Okay. Now Henry law we have to apply. The P is equal to KH into X, where we have to make the subject to the X, that is P upon KH. Now keep the value of this for nitrogen, that is the pressure they have given, that is 0.987 upon 76480, Henry's constant they have given this. So you'll be getting the answer, that is 1.29 into 10⁻⁻⁵. This is what the mole fraction for nitrogen. Now as the 1 liter of water contain 55.5 moles, therefore N represents the number of moles of N2. Okay, now let's calculate it. The formula, the took one component N mole for nitrogen upon N mole plus mole of water. Now N mole is the same which we have to find it out. X we have calculated 1.29 into 10⁻⁵ upon, here see here the N mole we have to keep it same, upon mole of water we have it, that is 55.5. so now there is a condition over here, 55.5 is too much greater than the N mole, so you have to avoid it, the N mole. Okay, so now you will be having the N upon 55.5, 1.29 into 10⁻⁵. this is for x. Okay, now so you can make the subject to n. 55.5 into 1.29 into 10 raised to minus 5. Okay, so you'll be getting the answer 7.16 into 10 raised to minus 4 mole. Now you have to convert into the millimole, so 7.16 into 10 raised to minus 4 multiply with 1000 per mole. So you'll be getting the answer in millimole 0.716 millimole, the value of n. Okay, so this is the way by which you can solve this sum. So that's the end of the day over here. We'll continue in next session. Thank you.